Sumerian ancient texts revealed 8 intelligent beings that came to Earth and ruled for over 241,000 years. They were, of course, from the heavens, the skies, extraterrestrials. The clay tablet of this unique text is 4,000 years old. It was found by German-American scholar Hermann Hilprecht at the beginning of the 20th century. The most controversial ancient Sumerian text reveals a list of 8 ancient kings. They're also known as local gods of the Sumerians, who descended from the sky, and they ruled for over 200,000 years. And according to this ancient text, before the great flood of Noah, a group of 8 intelligent beings ruled over Mesopotamia for a period of 241,200 years. The Sumerians were one of the ancient advanced civilizations that lived around 7,000 years ago in Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, which later became Babylonia. It's now Iraq and Syria. Many artifacts have been recovered from this ancient site of Sumerians in Iraq, but the most intriguing was a manuscript that recorded the listing of Sumerian kings and their reign lengths, which were a tremendous length of time. The clay tablet of this unique text is 4,000 years old, found by the American scholar Hermann Hilprecht. Hilprecht found that at least 18 such cuneiform tablets from about 2017 to 1794 BC. They were not identical, but they shared the information that's believed to have been taken from a single source of Sumerian history. There are more than a dozen of copies of the Sumerian king list found in Babylon, Susa, and Assyria, and the Royal Library of Nineveh from the 7th century BC. The list, composed in the Sumerian language, consists of the names of numerous generations of kings who ruled ancient Mesopotamia, and also shared the details of their supposed length and location of their kingships. Along with the list, the text also includes the events of the Great Flood, traditions, tales of Gilgamesh, and stories of antediluvian rulers. That is, the rulers before the Great Flood. The Sumerian list before the flood. Quote, after the kingship descended from heaven, the kingship was in Eridug. In Eridug, Alulim became king. He ruled for 28,800 years. Al-Jar ruled for 36,000 years. 2 kings, they ruled for 64,800 years. Then Eridug fell, and the kingship was taken by Bad Tibira. In Bad Tibira, and Men Luana ruled for 43,200 years, and Men Gal Ana ruled for 28,800 years. Dumi Zud, the shepherd, ruled for 36,000 years. 3 kings, they ruled for 108,000 years. Then Bad Tibira fell, and the kingship was taken to Larag. In Larag, and Sipad Zid Ana ruled for 28,800 years. 1 king, he ruled for 28,800 years. Then Larag fell, and the kingship was taken to Zimbir. In Zimbir, and Mendur Ana became king. He ruled for 21,000 years. 1 king, he ruled for 21,000 years. Then Zimbir fell, and the kingship was taken to Shurupag. In Shurupag, Uruba Tutu became king. He ruled for 18,600 years. 1 king, he ruled for 18,600 years. In total, 5 cities, 8 kings. They ruled for 241,200 years. Then the flood swept over, end quote. So this is the direct text from the ancient texts. How could the 8 kings rule the earth for 241,200 years? There was a great discussion on the long tenure of the early kings. The list mentioned some mythical and legendary figures, such as Etana, Lugalbanda, and Gilgamesh, who reigned for an implausible period of time. Some believe that they were indeed gods who had a longer lifespan than earthly beings. There is also a list of the rules and their kingship after the flood. For many years, people believed that the history of 8 Sumerian kings and their implausible kingship, the Great Flood, and the replacement with another set of kings after the flood were just Sumerians' interpretations of mythological stories. At the same time, some researchers and authors dismissed this theory and suggested that the list cannot be a myth. They started recognizing some of the kings mentioned in this list. And interestingly, some scholars found striking similarities between the Sumerian king list and the book of Genesis, the first book of the Old Testament, of the Bible. For example, likewise, the list discussed the 8 kings that ruled for generations. Before the flood, there is also mention about 8 generations that existed between Adam and Noah before the great destruction by the flood. And then after the flood, the longevity decreased. The Sumerian list mystery still baffles historians as it shares some perplexing facts that relate to the actual events. What if the list tells us the correct information, and the heavenly gods really lived and ruled for such a long period of time? What if they possessed the technology to increase life expectancy and became immortal? This was originally published on House and Wise. It's on Collective Spark. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.